I was friends with a lot of Christian kids. They were fun, they were safe, and I wanted to be able to hang out with them and trick their parents into thinking I was a nice person. So I did youth group stuff with them. And yeah, I learned a little bit of Bible that way, heard the gospel, but it just bounced right off.
So you actually went on kind of a spiritual search and you ended up with the Bahá'í Faith. So what was it about Bahá'í that really interested you?
Well, I think one of the things that I really loved about it was the idea of universal world peace. Like that was one of the tenets of the faith, was that eventually everyone would become a Baha'i and that it would be a world order. And so the idea of having one language, equality of the sexes, no economic issues, like one world currency, and one centralized government that would enforce this peace, that because I was kind of a perfectionist, I just thought that this was just a beautiful, wonderful thing. And I think too, I had just gone to college at the same time, and so it was kind of my way of like, I'm gonna do my own thing, you know, and I also started dating a boy at that same time.
Who was a hostile agnostic.
Yeah, he was.
That?
So, what is a hostile?
God, but you're mad at him, right? Is that pretty much it?
I think that's sort of it. Yeah, if there is, when I get to heaven, I got some stuff to say. Yeah, like that's gonna work out. But yeah, he was a really great guy, really nice guy. Ended up, you know, getting into a long-term relationship with him, and I tried to make those two worlds meet. He was pretty sure that everything I believed was mystic baloney. And so the thing that I tried to do was, well, if I just take him to enough events, he'll see that, you know, this is really great, and, you know, we'll both be Baha'is together, and this is awesome. And every time I took him to something, he was like, no, that's weird. That's weird.
So you had a friend that became a Christian around that time, and he invited you to Alpha, and you guys, neither of you had interest in Christianity, but you said yes. So why did you do that?
It was a few years later. It was after we were done college, after we'd been working for a while, and we had a friend of ours who was really, it shocked us. He had been, you know, one of these guys who liked to put on a shiny shirt and go to the club. And so we were just, well, that's bizarre. You know, we thought maybe he'd joined some sort of bizarre group. And he invited us to Alpha, and he had told us later that he really felt a prompting to invite who later became my husband, my boyfriend at the time. And my boyfriend said to me, you want to go to this like Christian discussion group thing that our friend wants us to go to? And I said, yeah, okay, that sounds great. And we show up at Alpha, and I thought this was like a one-time thing, half an hour, we clap, and they say, welcome to the 10-week Alpha course. And I look at him and I'm like, and he's like, and so we decided to stay for all 10 weeks, partially because we didn't want to hurt our friends' feelings. And we learned, and I relearned sort of the doctrines, the concept of Jesus and what he's done, and the idea that he's paid for the sins of mankind. And we went, you know what, that's really nice. Thank you for inviting us. You know, we're not really interested, but thanks so much.
And now your husband, the hostile, now this boyfriend who became your husband, the hostile agnostic, he decides he wants to start reading the Bible so that if he's going to make fun of Christians, he knows what he's talking about.
That's right. That's right. Because the more we got to talk with our friend, I think he realized, oh, I need to know more about this. So at the time, we had a Bible store right down the street from our house. It was a Christian bookstore. And so he walked down, got himself a Bible, and as you said before, I had learned a little bit about the Bible when I was younger. So I thought, well, okay, I'll do that too. And after we had been reading it for a little while, some strange things started to happen.
Okay, strange things. And this is the part that some people have given you a hard time about, but...
Yeah, a lot of people think that I'm just either out of my mind or I'm just wrong. and that can be really hard and frustrating. The things that started happening were things that could be seen as coincidental, but we really felt were spiritual attacks.
Like dark presences
Really,
in your
yeah.
house.
We would wake up in the evening and really feel like there was somebody else in the house when there wasn't, and be afraid to go to the back of the house, which was, since there was a washroom there, it was really inconvenient because we wouldn't want to leave our bedroom.
And Aaron waking up with scratches on his body?
He would wake up with scratches on his back, which I did not put there, bloody scratches, and he would be fighting in his sleep all the time. He'd be swinging his arms around and as if he was trying to fend somebody off. I was seeing things that weren't there. There was a time in which I thought there was a moth attacking my face, and he was telling me, no, there's nothing there.
So we're running out of time, but it came to a head one night where literally in the middle of the night he wakes up. What happens? Or you wake up and
I wake up and I see him half off the bed as if someone is pulling him up by his shoulder. It was not a natural sleeping position. He was partially up off the bed. And I was terrified, and I said, go away. And I didn't know who I was talking to. And he laid back down again, and he woke up. And he said, what's wrong? What's happening? And I explained to him, this is what I saw, and he had felt himself fall down on the bed. This is what he told me afterwards. And so we tried to get back to sleep. He doesn't remember turning to me, but he did, and it was not his face. It was really, really scary. It did not look like his face at all. It freaked me out. I started crying, and I had this choice at that moment. I can either end up in a psychiatric institution because I'm seeing things, I'm feeling presences, what is wrong with me? But then there was Jesus, and I remembered everything I'd learned. And where else am I going to go at that point? I asked God to save me. I didn't have to ask anybody what to repent of. I knew that as a Baha'i, I'd been worshiping a false God. I knew that as a perfectionist, I'd been worshiping self. And immediately that all stopped. Now there were 12 seconds in which I had to wait for my boyfriend to see what he was going to do, and he also asked God to save him. And yeah.
So when you say everything stopped,
that presence,
that fear went away, the thickness, evil presence,
that thickness in the air lifted, and at that point, we could tell it was gone, and we looked at each other and went, "So we're Christians now. What do we do?"
This is unexpected.
Yeah, this is unexpected. We did not.
So tell me what that was like, because a lot of people, maybe they come from a similar background to you, very skeptical, not necessarily wanting to buy into Christianity, and now you just, in the middle of this terror, made this decision. How did you feel? What changed in you besides the dark presence going? Did anything else change?
I would say that the sanctification process was slow, but we fortunately had been going to. I had started going to our friend's church just to kind of stick our toes in the water. And so we were able to meet with a pastor who believed us and who understood and kind of helped us to get into a healthier position. We eventually realized that we shouldn't be sleeping together, that might not be a good idea. And he was able to lead us through, and eventually we got married. And we lived happily ever after.
Oh yeah, everything was
not
easy,
perfect.
Not,
no, of course not.
What happened to perfectionism?
Oh, you know what? Becoming a mother has made that go out the window. There's no such thing as a perfect mother, and there's no such thing as perfect children, and there's no such thing as a perfect life. And I've had to get over that. And I think a lot of people do end their stories with the "and we live happily ever after." We still do have struggles that we go through in life. I did lose a child to miscarriage, and I have in the past few years developed epilepsy. And so those have been some struggles that we've dealt with. But in both of those particular instances, and obviously there are other things that happen in people's lives too, God was with us during the miscarriage. And I know that because the baby died at week 8, but we didn't find out until week 13. Wow. And by then we'd told everybody, and I had been washing the dishes and had started to feel, anyone who's had a miscarriage knows that something is wrong. And I prayed, is this happening? Why is this happening now? And I really felt the impression of, I'm not going to let you do this alone. This is not something that you're going to do by yourself.
Of God with you.
Yeah, and still with being diagnosed with epilepsy, I was shocked, obviously, because people don't know very much about epilepsy, and I certainly never had to care about it because it wasn't part of my life. But it's taught me to be humble, and in terms of my body is not my own. It belongs to Christ.
We think we're in control of our lives until something happens to show us that we're not, and that's when God comes in.
Especially the brain, right? And so life is not perfect, but we have Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. He is Emmanuel, God with us in all of it.
And He is our perfection, so I don't have to be.